Hey there, welcome to the Howearth Goddess podcast. I'm just here shuffling my tarot cards while I'm thinking about today's podcast episode, which is, of course, all about tarot reading. I'm going to be sharing with you some tips to make tarot reading so much easier so that you don't have to rely on the guidebook or feel like you need to look up the meanings of the cards every time you do a reading. I really want to help you feel more confident to read the cards intuitively. So yeah, that's what we're talking about today. Before I dive into today's tarot tips and tricks, I'd love to invite you, if tarot reading's your thing, I'd love to invite you to the Howearth Goddess Academy. All month for the for the entire month of April in 2022, I'm having a 50% off sale for all courses inside the Howearth Goddess Academy. If you're watching this episode, you may be particularly interested in the Tarot Beginners course. Inside the Tarot Beginners course, I'm teaching you exactly how to read the tarot cards. We go through much more in depth all 78 cards really. It's quite an in-depth course that will really help you build the foundations and build your knowledge of tarot, like how to actually read tarot cards. So if you're new to tarot or if you're still not feeling confident with reading tarot, then the Tarot Beginners course is definitely the right one for you. Just use code BIRTHDAY at checkout and you can click the link in the show notes below to go and check out the Tarot Beginners course. Take advantage of that 50% off sale because I never have sales in the academy. This is the only one I've had all year in the year since I launched it. Go ahead, use that code BIRTHDAY to get 50% off all courses inside the Howearth Goddess Academy, including the Tarot Beginners course. You will feel so much more confident after completing that course. You will be able to read the cards for not only yourself, but for others as well. You learn about different spreads, all the basic things that you need to know when reading a tarot cards, like cleansing your deck, the right way to shuffle and that sort of stuff. By the way, there is no right way to shuffle. You can shuffle anyway. But anyway, let's jump into today's episode, tarot reading tips. So, if you have ever come to one of my courses or even in-person workshops of reading tarot, I realized when I sat down to record this episode, I've actually been teaching tarot reading for 3 years. Been teaching this since 2019. And that just kind of boggled me. I didn't realize it had been quite so long. But I've been teaching tarot for a while, and if you have listened to any of my episodes before I come to any of my courses, you will know that I break it down into a really simple kind of strategy so that you don't have to memorize all 78 cards. There is kind of a shortcut. So that's what I'm going to be talking about first. I'm going to give you this framework so that you can base your knowledge on that basic understanding of the tarot. And then from there, we've got some further tips to build your tarot reading skills even better. Even better. Okay, so this basic framework, you take the suits, okay? So in the minor arcana in the tarot cards, we have 4 suits. We have pentacles, cups, wands, and swords. Pentacles are all to do with the physical realm, so that could be things like possessions, money, health, or physical work. Cups are to do with our feelings, our emotions. That can be to do with relationships. It can also be to do with our intuition. Wands are to do with our passions. This could include our career, can also mean things like creativity and spirituality. And then we have the swords, and that's to do with the mental realm. So that's things like thoughts, ideas, intellect, and communication. So already, if I just pull a card from my deck, okay, so I've got the 5 of Pentacles I've just pulled here. So already, because we know the meaning of the suit. We know Pentacles is all about the physical realm. It's to do with like money and stuff. Then already we know this card is going to be about money or health or something else to do with Pentacles, right? So then what the next step is to look at that number. So for example, 5, as we've got here in the 5 of Pentacles, and understanding the meaning of those numbers. So it doesn't matter if it's a 5 of Pentacles or a 5 of Cups or 5 of Wands or 5 of Swords. 5s generally have the same meaning, which is change. 5s are all about change, right? So what you would see here is with a 5 of Pentacles is a change of money or of possessions or of health. We can go deeper into that meaning and like elaborate on that, but yeah, using that basic framework, you get a basic understanding of what that card's about. So I'm not going to go through all the numbers in this episode. I'm pretty sure I've done that like back in like episode number 8. Yeah, like about a year ago, I did an episode all about how to easily read tarot cards. So go check out that episode, or you can also click the link in the show notes. I have a handy little poster that I've created for you that breaks down all of these tarot tips I'm covering in today's episode, including the meanings of the numbers, the suits, and all that sort of stuff. So that's my basic framework for reading tarot. Especially the minor arcana is blending the suits with the numbers, or the court cards like the pages, the knights, the queens, and kings. So that's, yeah, for the minor arcana. Now, if you pull a card from the major arcana is more about major life lessons or teachers that we come across. So these are more significant things, whereas compared to the minor arcana cards, they can be more symbolic of our everyday sort of life situations. Major arcana cards are more like something that's quite significant that's coming up. You can use that same sort of framework, like specifically the numerology, like looking at the numbers on the major arcana cards. So for example, 1s or aces are to do with beginnings. So if you're looking at the major arcana card, number 1 is the magician. And so you can absolutely read that as a beginning, because it's a beginning of like our awareness of how to manifest and how to take action on our thoughts and that sort of thing. So once you have that basic framework kind of covered, once you understand that basic framework of tarot, it becomes so much easier to like apply that knowledge to any sort of deck. And we're going to talk about different decks in a second as well. But it gives you like a basis for your intuition to start working. It gives you some clues, and then your intuition can take over. And I guess, like, you know, when I'm reading tarot cards, my logical side of the brain kind of comes in first. And it's like, okay, this is an 8 of swords, so it must mean this. But then my intuitive side kind of takes over, and it's like, okay, but maybe this is like to do with this, or maybe it's to do with that. And so like you can kind of use both like your logical side and your intuitive side when you're reading tarot cards. So that kind of leads me to the next tip. It's about trusting your intuition. It's about saying what you see. Trusting your intuition is absolutely key when doing a tarot reading. Even if you don't feel like you're intuitive, the more that you're using your intuition and trusting what you're hearing through your intuition or seeing through your intuition, the easier that will become for you. So absolutely, like if you're doing a tarot reading and something comes up and you just get this feeling, like this gut feeling, just say what you think it means. And you know, you might be surprised by just how accurate you are. I've had tarot readings done recently, actually by a few people who weren't that confident with reading the cards. Actually, one of these people was my son. My 9-year-old son wanted to learn how to read tarot cards a few weeks ago. And I said, okay, it's easy. And I gave him the cards and I told him, pick out some cards, now read the cards. And he's just like, well, how do I read the cards? And I simply said to him, say what you see. And like, he looked at the pictures on the cards, and like, even though he had no idea like about the stuff I've already talked about in this episode, like his reading was so spot on. Like, just by looking at those cards and just saying what he saw, it was like, it was just incredible just how accurate his reading was and the messages that came through. So if my 9-year-old son can do it, so can you, right? So yeah, trust your intuition. Say what you see. Now, what I'm talking about saying what you see, you may like to look at the imagery on the card. So there may be clues on the card. There may be symbols. I'm trying to find a card here in this deck I have in my hands, but it's possibly not the best deck to use. Oh, well, here we go. Okay, so I've pulled up the Empress card. I'm using the Herbal Tarot deck at the moment as well. So this is, it's a little bit different from the traditional Rider-Waite deck. Anyway, on the Empress card here, you can see there is that female symbol or the Venus symbol, whatever you want to call it. That can be a clue. There are often like different symbols, different symbolism on tarot cards. No matter which deck you're using, there's always some sort of symbolism. So it could be through actual symbols like what we're seeing here, or it could be like colors. Like you see she's got a yellow dress on, like the colors can be very symbolic. There may be different animals, or there may be different plants, or there may be other different things on the card, which are all often quite symbolic. Usually artists for tarot decks, they put a lot of intention and thought into those cards, into the artwork for those cards, because it is a very symbolic sort of imagery that's required. So yeah, like definitely like look at those different symbols that are coming up on the card and talk about it. Like as you're doing a reading, like, and you're doing a reading for someone else, or even if it's just for yourself, say what you see. Like there's another card here as well, the Chariot, and there's this like yin and yang symbol on there as well. So you could start talking about that, and then you could start talking about other things that you see on the card as well. And yeah, you just talk about what you see. So moving on to the next tip, and that is all about picking a deck that vibes with you. So there is a reason why I have my Herbal Tarot deck here with me today for this episode. I bought this deck probably 5 or 6 years ago. This is my first deck that I ever received or had. And this is still my absolute favorite, and it's my go-to. I've bought many decks since, but I always tend to come back to the Herbal Tarot. I have a background as a herbalist. I'm an avid gardener. I love plants. And so this deck really speaks to me. Each card has a different plant on it. So for example, here we've got the Ace of Swords, and that's got chamomile. Each card has a different plant that just vibes with the meaning. So 9 of Swords is valerian. And so for me, that adds an extra layer of meaning. And you will find that there are many other tarot decks that kind of do the same thing. They have that added layer of meaning. So choosing a deck that vibes with you really will help you read. And I found that when I do a reading with other decks that I have that I don't use as much, sometimes cards come out and it's like, I don't know what this card means because I haven't spent enough time with that deck. So you choose a deck that vibes with you, and then you've got to spend some time getting to know that deck as well. So practice. Do readings on yourself. Pull a card every day, journal about that card. do spreads for yourself. Like, it's really fun. You can find heaps of really inventive spreads on the internet. I have like new and full moon spreads in my moon manifesting planner. There is an endless supply of different card spreads that you can use. So it's really fun to find some spreads that, you know, feel exciting for you and play with it, because that is how you will get to know your deck, by continuously using it and getting to know it. So with saying that, that's pretty much my next tip, which was about using different spreads. I feel like when we start to learn tarot, a lot of people firstly learn the Celtic cross spread. And in fact, that's probably the spread that I have used most since I learned how to read tarot and learned how to do the Celtic cross spread. But it doesn't always vibe with me. And there are times when there are other spreads that you can use that, you know, they might vibe better with you, or they might fit the situation better. So trying different spreads could be just something that helps you vibe better with your cards, because you have a better understanding of, like, I guess, what you're asking the cards. I actually did a tarot reading yesterday for myself, and I did and this was actually from Rachel from the Wandering Moon Tarot Co. She has like these really cool downloadable templates on her Etsy store, which are like really cheap, like 33 cents or something like that. Go check her out, because she has like all these really cool downloadables and like tarot spreads and stuff. Anyway, she had this spread in one of her downloadables, which was about the 7 chakras. And you pretty much just pull 7 cards, 1 card for each of the chakras. And I'd actually never done a reading like that before, like for the 7 chakras. And as I was doing that spread, I thought this would be like one of those spreads that you could use, just like how people use the Celtic cross spread, like as a default spread when, you know, you go have a reading from someone. The 7 chakras, like there was just so much information that I pulled from that spread, and it was just like mind blowing. So it got me really excited about using the tarot cards. So I would love for you to find different spreads that really excite you as well. Different spreads can really make a difference. If you don't vibe with like that traditional Celtic cross or whatever, then try something else. And if you are still like just really beginning to read the cards, just going back to basics and like maybe just doing a 3-card spread could be enough. Like 3-card spreads are really quite awesome, like without going too in depth and getting lost in the nitty gritty of the reading. Sometimes it just helps to keep it simple, keep it really basic. So I guess the last kind of tarot tip I have for you today is when you are sitting down to do a reading, you need to get yourself into the right sort of space and the right sort of vibe. So like an example of this is turn the TV off. If you've got the TV going or whatever, turn it off. Like, center yourself, really connect with your cards. You may want to sit there and meditate with your cards for a moment or a few minutes. Or, you may want to light some incense or burn a smoke bundle. Get out some crystals or whatever it is that's really going to get you into that right space, that right vibe for doing a tarot reading. Because vibes are everything. If you're like kind of semi-distracted, you got the TV going, the kids are running around yelling or whatever, then it's going to affect your reading. So when you take that time to set up this sacred space for your reading, it really can make a difference to how you tune into your intuition and conduct the reading. So I think that's pretty much all of the tarot tips that I had planned to share with you today. I hope that this episode has been really helpful for you to maybe find a bit more confidence to read the tarot cards. Like I said earlier, if my 9-year-old son can give me a really accurate reading on his first go of reading the tarot cards with no prior training, you can do it too. It's really not that hard. It's just about saying what you see, trusting those intuitive nudges that you're getting, and just being confident. Being confident in what you're seeing and having the confidence to express that, whether it is like you're doing a reading for yourself, or if you're doing a reading for someone else, just having that confidence to say what you see. So don't forget, if you want to learn more about tarot, if you want to up-level your tarot reading skills, check out the sale happening now in the Herbal Moon Goddess Academy. Just use the code BIRTHDAY for 50% off all courses, including the Tarot Beginners course. Link is in the show notes for you. And I will catch you all in the next episode of the Herbal Moon Goddess podcast. Bye.